You ever had that moment where your gut was screaming at you, but your heart was still giving somebody the benefit of the doubt? Yeah, I know that feeling. It's a mix of betrayal and regret, a heavy silence that settles after someone you trusted shows you who they really are. And what hurts the most, it's not what they did, it's that you didn't trust yourself enough to see it coming. So let's talk. Not about pain but power. Not about who hurt you but how to never let them close again. See, trust ain't a gift. It's a reward, earned, not given. I had to learn that the hard way. I used to be that dude who thought loyalty meant letting people walk in and out as they pleased, just because I knew them for years or shared a dream with them. But let me tell you something, familiarity is not trust. And everybody smiling with you ain't for you. I want to help you stop confusing presence with loyalty. You keep wondering why your peace keeps getting disturbed, why your energy gets drained. You're trusting the wrong people. And today we're going to fix that. You see, there are 3 types of people you should never let into deep. People who play innocent but always seem to carry chaos wherever they go. People who only show up when you shine but vanish when you're struggling. And the ones who act like they love you but low-key compete with you. I'm talking about the silent destroyers of peace, the hidden thieves of joy. They don't come in swinging. They come disguised as comfort, support, even love. But they've got one mission: to break your emotional strength while pretending to hold you up. What they fear is your growth. Your power moves. You rise from every setback. Because when you operate with self-control, when you build that mental toughness, when you move in silence, they lose control over you. That's why I say, you gotta learn how to be respected without needing anyone to validate you. You have to master how to stay focused even when distractions come wrapped in loyalty. Real loyalty doesn't flinch when you level up. It celebrates. It claps loud. It doesn't question your success, it protects it. Now don't get it twisted. This ain't about walking around paranoid. This is about walking in self-discipline and inner strength. The kind of power that can see through masks. That can feel energy shift before words are even spoken. That's called psychological power. It ain't loud. It ain't violent. It's the power of silence. It's how to silence enemies without raising your voice. That right there is personal power. When you master how to command respect, you don't have to beg for it. It follows your presence like a shadow. And here's what I realize: every time I stopped listening to that inner voice, I paid the price. Not in dollars, but in peace, in sleepless nights, in forced conversations. That's why now, before I let someone close, I ask one question: does this person feel safe to my peace? If the answer is no, I don't argue with it. I don't try to fix them. I just protect what's mine: my growth, my space, my destiny. Because I know what I'm building requires me to be surrounded by warriors, not wait. And trust me, as we go deeper into this message, you're going to start to notice some things. Not just about others, but about yourself. You'll find the hidden habits that let snakes in. You learn how to shut the door without guilt. And most importantly, you'll develop a high-value mindset that don't just protect your life, it elevates it. So stay with me. There's something powerful in this for you. You ever heard that saying, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time? Let me break that down the way life broke it down for me. People don't always betray you with big moves. Most of the time, they betray you in small moments, the kind of moments you ignore because you care too much. But here's the hard truth: caring without clarity is how you lose your way. That's how people sneak past your boundaries. That's how you end up giving access to people who came to drain you, not build you. Now, let's talk about the first type of person you should never trust: the opportunist. These folks show up not for you, but for what you can do for them. They study your moves, not because they're inspired, but because they want a shortcut. They want to learn your power moves, copy your leadership skills, and then act like they never knew your name. These are the people who clap for you in public but compete with you in private. They'll never tell you that you inspire them because deep down, they don't want you to know how powerful you really are. And that's where your self-mastery techniques come in. You gotta learn how to observe without reacting. That's the power of silence. You don't always have to confront people to protect yourself. Sometimes the best move is a quiet exit. Learn to walk away from what insults your mental strength. Because if you keep entertaining the same energy that broke you before, that ain't healing, that's self-sabotage. See, what people don't understand about self-discipline is that it's not just about routines, it's about restraint. Not everyone deserves a response. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table just because they brought a fork. You want to know how to gain confidence? Stop explaining yourself. Stop justifying your growth. You're not arrogant for outgrowing your circle, you're just finally seeing clearly. You're realizing that peace is expensive and not everyone is willing to pay the price with their character. So, how to command respect? Start by respecting yourself enough to say no even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. Let's move on to the second type, the energy leech. These people come with flattery, praise, smiles, but every time they leave, you feel exhausted. You're pouring into them, cheering them on, solving their problems, but they never ask about you. They never check your temperature. They're addicted to being the victim and you're their free therapy. But let me say this loud and clear, you are not a rehab center for broken people who refuse to heal. Stop letting your emotional strength be drained in the name of loyalty. That's not love, that's manipulation, rest in dependency. You've got to have the courage to move in silence. Let your actions do the talking. Let your consistency speak louder than your explanations. The people who are meant for you will feel you even when you say nothing. That's how to be respected, by being someone who doesn't need to shout to be heard. Be the calm in the room, the still force that commands presence. Because when you move with intention, with clarity, and with boundaries, you become untouchable. That's the fearless mindset right there. It doesn't mean you're never afraid. It means you no longer let fear decide who gets access to you. You've learned that protecting your peace is not selfish, it's sacred. And sometimes protecting your peace means letting go of people you prayed would change. It means giving yourself permission to be loved the way you love. Here's where the shift happens once you start valuing your time, your mind, your heart, your circle changes. You attract people who are not threatened and by your light. You attract people who don't gossip, who don't manipulate, who don't disappear the moment you need them. You attract people who reflect your winning mindset. That's how you know you're leveling up. Your circle shrinks, but your energy expands. And listen, if you really want to know how to stay focused, cut off distractions that come wrapped in familiarity. Because just because they've known you since the beginning doesn't mean they deserve to be in your future. Some people are only qualified for your past. That's what self-mastery teaches you, to let go with love and grow with purpose. There's one more thing I need you to understand. When you stop giving your light to people who live in shadows, your life starts shining brighter. You stop being drained. You start being driven. You build personal power every time you choose peace over drama, focus over noise, and purpose over people pleasing. And that brings us to a very subtle shift that most people never see coming, a powerful transformation that will make everything we talk about today hit even harder in the next part. Now let's get into the third type, the undercover competitor. This one hurts the most. They act like your biggest supporter, but deep down, they're trying to beat, not in sports, not in business, in life. They watch your every move, but not to clap to copy, to stay close enough to steal your mindset, but never close enough to admit they're learning from. See, competition ain't always loud. Sometimes it hides behind compliments. You're doing great, but don't forget where you came from. That's not love, that's control. You want to know how to silence enemies like that? You don't argue. You don't prove anything. You level up so loud they can ignore you, but so silently they can't stop you. You move like water, quiet, powerful, and unstoppable. That's how you start becoming untouchable. Not by reacting, but by rising. Not by clapping back, but by outgrowing the noise. Because here's the truth, your success mindset is your weapon. Your calm is your shield. That's the psychological power move right there. And listen, I get it sometimes. It's people you grew up with, people you dreamed with, and that's what makes it so hard. But here's what I've learned: emotional strength is not about pretending you don't feel the pain. It's about choosing to grow anyway, choosing to rise without the applause, choosing to succeed without permission. That's mental toughness, and that's where true greatness lives. See, people will test your boundaries just to see if you really value yourself. They'll ask for more than they deserve. They'll minimize your wins and amplify your flaws. And if you're not grounded in self-discipline, you'll find yourself shrinking just to make them comfortable. Let me tell you something, never dim your light just because someone else is afraid of shining. You weren't built to blend in. You were born to stand out. So if you're wondering how to make enemies fear you, stop feeding them your emotions. Stop giving them free rent in your mind. You make them fear you by staying focused, consistent, and unbothered. By waking up with purpose and refusing to play small. You develop a high-value mindset when you stop living for approval and start living for alignment. And that scares people who thought they could control you with guilt, shame, or history. I've been there, man, trying to please everybody, trying to bring people with me who weren't meant for the destination. What I learned, what hit me hardest was this: you cannot heal in the same place that broke you. You cannot grow in soil that was never fertile for your dreams. You've got to uproot yourself sometimes. Start fresh, plant yourself in peace, and surround yourself with people who water your greatness, not question it. Let me hit you with something most people ignore. Power is quiet. It doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to post. It doesn't need to prove. Real power moves in silence. It shows up in results, not arguments. You don't need to convince anyone that you're valuable when you carry yourself like you already know. That's the secret to how to gain confidence. You stop performing and start believing. And I want you to hear this loud: if they don't respect your boundaries, they don't deserve your energy. Period. If they feel threatened by your glow, that's a reflection of their own dimmed light, not your brightness. You are not here to make people comfortable. They are here to be great. And greatness requires mastering emotions, not suppressing them. Being calm under pressure. Being kind when it's hard. Being focused when it's loud. That's how to stay focused in a world built on distraction. Let me give you a visual. Imagine standing in the center of a hurricane. Everything around you is spinning noise, judgment, hate, chaos. But inside is calm. That calm is where your inner strength lives. That calm is where you find your winning mindset. That's where you stop caring what people think, not because you're arrogant, but because you finally understand what you think of yourself is more powerful than any opinion. Here's the turning point. You don't owe anyone access to the version of you that took years to build. Protect it, guard it. That's your personal power. That's your legacy. That's your leadership. And when you operate from that place, you become the kind of person who doesn't just win, you inspire. You don't just survive, you lead. You don't just speak, you move people. You ever wonder why some people stay stuck? It's not because they're not smart. It's because they never had the strength to walk away from what broke them. But you, if you're still listening, you're indifferent. You've been hurt, but you're still standing. You've been doubted, but you're still dreaming. You've been silent, but you're still building. And the best part, we're only getting started. Let's slow this down for a second. Because what I'm about to say might sting, but it might just set you free too. See, most people think betrayal happens when someone turns on you. But the deepest betrayals, they happen when you turn on yourself, when you silence your instincts just to keep someone in your life, when you betray your own standards in the name of being nice. That's not kindness, that's self-abandonment. And when you abandon yourself long enough, you start teaching people how to treat. Let me be real with you, how to be respected begins with how you respect yourself. And not with words, with actions. With the way you carry yourself when no one's clapping, the way you say no without guilt, the way you protect your schedule, your energy, your peace. That's self-discipline. And without it, you'll keep attracting the same cycles dressed in different people. Until you learn the lesson, life will repeat the test. And let me remind you again, the most powerful habits are invisible. Waking up before the noise. Working on your craft when no one's watching. Saying no to drama. Saying yes to purpose. Being silent in rooms full of chaos because you know your energy is too expensive to waste. That's mastering emotions. That's mental toughness. And that's the kind of strength that can't be faked. You want to become untouchable, learn to be unshakable when you're underestimated. Learn to stay calm when they're trying to provoke you. Learn to build when they're busy talking. That's how you develop a fearless mindset, not by shouting louder, but by choosing silence when ego wants to speak. That's the psychological power move most people miss. You don't have to win every argument. Some battles are won by walking away and building in silence. And now, let's make something clear. The people who gossip to you will eventually gossip about you. That's not just a warning, it's a pattern. So, if you're wondering how to ignore haters, remember this: you don't owe explanations to people who came to misunderstand you. You don't need to clap back. You don't need to prove anything. The moment you shift your focus from them to your mission, they lose their grip on your peace. And yes, it hurts when it's people you cared about. It hurts when they switch up. But listen to me, that pain has purpose. It's sculpting you into someone sharper, wiser, stronger. The same way pressure makes diamonds, betrayal makes warriors. So stop asking why it happened and start asking what it's building inside of you. You want to know how to command respect in this life? Show up for yourself when no one else does. Keep your promises to yourself. Be consistent. Be focused. Stay unstoppable. And stop telling small mind your big dreams. Because not everyone is ready for the weight of your vision. Some people will never understand your journey because they're still walking in circles. That's why your circle has to match your mindset, not your memories. And here's a truth I had to learn the hard way. Some people aren't your friends, they're your distractions. They keep you comfortable. They keep you in place. Not because they hate you, but because they fear losing the version of you that needed them. And when you start to rise, when you start building personal power, mastering your focus, developing real leadership skills, that's when their insecurity starts to speak louder in their support. That's why you've got to move in silence. Not because you're hiding, but because your mission is too sacred to be diluted by noise. The most powerful people I know don't need to broadcast their every step. They let their success be the statement. They let discipline build their resume. And when the world finally notices, it's too late to stop the momentum. Now, let's pause and reflect. Have you been betraying yourself for the comfort of others? Have you been ignoring your instincts just to keep the peace? Because if you have, it's not too late to shift, to evolve, to rise, to take your energy back and pour it into something that builds legacy, not just connection. Look, the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more substance, more people willing to build in private so they can serve in public. More people committed to their path, not distracted by applause. If you're still here, I know that's you. I know you're not just looking for inspiration, you're ready to live it. And when you make that shift, you won't just learn how to stop caring what people think. You'll start seeing who you really are underneath the doubt, the noise, the distractions. You'll see the focused, powerful, unshakable force you were always meant to become. That's the version of you the world is waiting for. And in the next part, we're going even deeper. Let me tell you something I wish someone had told me earlier. Not everyone in your circle is in your corner. And sometimes the most dangerous people are not the loud ones. They're the ones who smile when you win but secretly hope you fall. The ones who ask about your goals not to support them, but to measure themselves against you. They're not interested in your progress. They're interested in keeping the scoreboard close. And here's where it gets real. These people don't look like enemies. They don't throw shade in public. They don't start fights. No, they operate in the shadows. Little comments, subtle jokes, backhanded compliments. At first, you brush it off, but over time, it chips at your confidence. It rewires your instincts. You start second-guessing your own power. And that's how they win, by getting inside your mind without ever raising their voice. But guess what? That's also how you win, by shutting that door before they even step in. That's where your inner strength becomes your armor. That's where your mental strength becomes your sword. You don't fight them with noise, you fight them with clarity, with personal power, with goals so big and so bold that there's no room left for their doubts to live. Now, I know someone listening right now is feeling that tug in their gut. You know, there's someone in your life who fits this description, and maybe you've been trying to ignore it, trying to hope they'll change. But let me say this from experience: hope is not a strategy. Self-control is. Boundaries are. You want to know how to stay focused. Cut the ties that distract you. You want to know how to command respect. Walk away from relationships that require you to shrink. Look, if you've got people around you who only celebrate the version of you that's struggling, but get distant when you're thriving, they are not your team. That's not support. That's sabotage. And here's what real ones do. They clap when you're not in the room. They correct you with love, not shame. They don't compete, they collaborate. That's what healthy power looks like. Let's get this straight. A high-value mindset is not about ego. It's about alignment. Know what you bring to the table and refusing to beg for a seat. It's walking away from noise because peace is your new standard. It's the refusal to lower your energy to match dysfunction. That's what it means to become untouchable. Now let's talk leadership skills, because this is where the game changes. A real leader doesn't need followers. A real leader builds other leaders, inspires growth, not dependence. And if someone in your life gets uncomfortable when you evolve, that's not your burden. That's their reflection. And you've got to be brave enough to outgrow some people even if you love them. Let me say that again. You can love someone and still realize they're not good for your growth. That's maturity. That's emotional strength. That's mastering emotions in a way most people never learn, because they keep confusing loyalty with self-sacrifice. But loyalty isn't letting someone drain your light. It's protecting your light so you can keep shining for you and for those who truly deserve to bask in it. And if you're asking, how do I make enemies fear me? Here's the truth: you don't try. You don't focus on them at all. You lock in. You build discipline. You master your mornings. You keep promises to yourself. You do the hard thing when no one's looking. And eventually, your existence becomes the thing that shakes their confidence. That's not revenge. That's alignment. Remember, power moves don't require an audience. They require intention, stillness, vision. When you operate from a space of self-mastery techniques, you stop needing validation. You stop needing attention. You move like someone who already knows they've won. That's psychological power. That's what keeps you one step ahead of people who are still playing checkers while you've mastered the chessboard. Let me tell you something personal. There was a time in my life I kept everyone around. Childhood friends, people I thought would be with me forever. And then life started shifting. Elevation demanded separation. My habits changed. My mindset matured. And I started noticing who was uncomfortable with that, who mocked it, who pulled back. That's when I realized growth isn't always celebrated by the ones closest to you. Sometimes it exposes their stagnation. And if you're serious about this life, about staying unstoppable, you've got to get serious about who gets access. You don't need 20 cheerleaders. You need one circle of people who challenge you, stretch you, and speak life into you. You need people who see your value and still push you to grow. That's rare, but that's also how you win. So I want to challenge you today to an audit, not just of your friends, but of your habits, your thoughts, your standards. What are you tolerating that's been blocking your success mindset? Who are you listening to that's been dimming your fire? What are you holding on to that's stopping your next level? Because the next version of you, they don't beg, they don't chase, they don't explain, they just build. Quietly, consistently, powerfully. That's who you're becoming. In the next part, it's going to take you deeper into that transformation. Now let's talk about something a lot of people avoid, the cost of growth. See, most people want the results, the success, the respect, but they don't want the silence. They don't want the lonely nights. They don't want to lose the people they've grown comfortable with. But here's the thing, comfort is the enemy of greatness. You'll never rise if you keep tying yourself to what's familiar. There's a phrase I love by now: if it costs you your peace, it's too expensive. And that includes relationships. Some people aren't draining you because they're bad people. They're draining you because they've expired. They were meant for a chapter, not the whole book. And when you force expired energy to stay in your life, you're not just delaying your growth, you're disrespecting your purpose. You want to know how to gain confidence? Stop compromising with people who don't see your worth. Stop entertaining conversations that leave you feeling small. Confidence doesn't come from outside approval, it comes from repeatedly choosing yourself. Showing up for your goals when nobody's clapping. Protecting your mental space like it's sacred. That's what builds a real winning mindset. But here's the catch: you've got to be brave enough to sit in the silence. You've got to be okay with outgrowing people, with losing access to circles that no longer fit who you're becoming. Because moving in silence isn't about isolation, it's about clarity. It's about tuning into a frequency where distractions can treat you anymore. That's how you tap into your personal power. You ever notice how lions don't roar when they hunt? They move slow, steady, calculated. That's power. Not no. And if you really want to know how to make enemies fear you, don't talk about what you're gonna do. Don't post every move. Just execute. Let your transformation do the talking. Let your discipline scream louder than any flex ever could. And if you've been wondering how to silence enemies, here's your answer: outgrow them. Outwork them. Outfocus them. Be so locked in that they forget how to trigger you. Because when you stop reacting, you stop feeding them. And when you stop feeding them, they starve. That's how you break the cycle. That's how you reclaim your time, your energy, your peace. Let's get into another truth. Not everyone deserves access to your vision. Some people can't support you because your potential threatens their complacency. And that's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to protect your mind. Because mental toughness isn't about pretending things don't hurt, it's about staying committed to your mission even when they do. And I know it's hard to walk away, especially from people you've grown with, people you've loved. But listen, you cannot heal in the same environment that broke you. Sometimes walking away isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's strength. It's self-control at the highest level. You don't need to argue. You don't need to explain. Sometimes the most powerful move is your absence. And that's the mistake so many make. They think being loyal means staying available to everyone. No, being loyal means staying true to your purpose. Staying loyal to the version of you you're becoming. You can't keep watering dead plants and expect a harvest. Sometimes elevation means pruning. Let's break this down a bit more. Psychological power moves aren't about manipulation. They're about understanding your environment, reading people without speaking, anticipating energy without explanation. When you learn to sit back and watch, you see who is real. You see who claps when you win, who leans in when you speak, who supports your silence. That's what discernment looks like. And that's how you develop true leadership skills. You want to overcome negativity. Stop sitting at tables where love is conditional, where value is based on your performance. You deserve to be seen, heard, and respected, not tolerated, and not managed. And the moment you realize that, the power of silence becomes your superpower. Not every insult needs a comeback. Not every hater deserves a response. Sometimes the best revenge is a glow up in silence. Let me hit you with something heavy right here. Your time is a currency. And some people are just bad investments. Let that sink in. You're pouring into people who can't even clap for you. You're explaining yourself to folks committed to misunderstanding you. You're inviting people into your mind who only want to leave fingerprints of doubt. It's time to shut the door, not in anger, in peace, because you're not bitter, you're focused. You're not cold, you're clear. You're not avoiding people, you're protecting your assignment. So let me ask you this, are you still trying to pull people up who've already let go of you? Are you still adjusting your light because others refuse to evolve? Are you still trading your peace for the illusion of connection? If you are, it's time to stop. It's time to rise, to take full ownership of your space, your voice, your journey. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be legendary. And in the next part, we're going to break down what happens when you step into that power completely, when you stop waiting for permission and start walking in purpose. Now we're stepping deeper into what I call next level awareness. The moment you cut ties with the wrong people, your clarity skyrockets. You start to feel things differently. You recognize patterns faster. You begin to trust your inner compass. And that's a powerful thing, because too often we ignore our intuition in favor of comfort. We quiet that inner whisper that says this person isn't right, or this situation is draining me, just to keep the peace. The real peace doesn't come from avoiding confrontation. It comes from living in alignment, from being surrounded by energy that feeds your growth. People who challenge you with love. People who want to see you win without needing you to lose first. And once you've tasted that, you won't settle for anything less. You'll stop justifying red flags. You'll stop shrinking just to fit in. That's when the fearless mindset kicks in. See, the people who can't stand your growth are the ones who benefited from your lack of boundaries, from your silence, from your people pleasing. But that version of you, that version has expired. You're no longer tolerating half love and full disrespect. You're no longer available for energy that subtracts instead of multiplies. That's self-mastery. And listen, you want to know how to command respect. It's not about yelling. It's not about showing off. It's about standards. Silent standard. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow. And when you raise your standard, people do one of two things. They rise to meet you, or they fall off. Either way, you win. That's how you activate emotional strength and personal power. Now, I want to pause and make something very clear. There will be people who tell you you've changed. Good. You were never meant to stay the same. Growth demands evolution. And sometimes the very people you thought would celebrate your growth will start acting like you've betrayed them just because you've outgrown the role they needed you to play. That's not your burden. Let me break something down for you. There are 3 types of people you should never trust. 1, people who always play the victim. These folks refuse accountability. They manipulate with guilt. And no matter what happens, it's never their fault. That kind of energy will drain you dry because they're not interested in truth. They're addicted to attention. To people who hate in silence but smile in your face. The ones who never celebrate your wins unless they can take credit for them. Trust me, watch their energy when you're doing better. That'll tell you everything. 3 people who seek access but offer nothing. These are opportunists. They only show up when they need something. They only support when it benefits them. You'll notice they disappear the moment the spotlight isn't on them. Recognizing these people doesn't make you paranoid, it makes you wise. It protects your vision. It guards your mission. It ensures that the table you're building is filled with alignment, not ego. But here's something even deeper. Don't just remove them from your circle. Remove the version of you that allowed them access. That version that second-guessed your value. That ignored the red flags. That settled. Because true self-discipline isn't just about what you say yes to. It's about what you say no to firmly, unapologetically. This is why I keep telling people silence is your sword. You don't have to argue to prove your power. You don't need revenge. You don't need to clap back. You don't need to put on a show. That's the beauty of the high-value mindset. It understands that your results will speak louder than your voice ever could. You want to stay unstoppable, then let your work be louder than your words. Let your life be the loudest message you send. That's how to stay focused. That's how to build mental strength. That's how to develop leadership skills in silence until the world has no choice but to recognize you. And if you're still holding on to toxic energy out of fear of being alone, let me say this, you're not losing people. You're losing weight. Every time you release the wrong connection, you make space for the right alignment. You create room for divine partnerships, for friends who sharpen you, mentors who guide you, environments that elevate you. That's how you develop this success mindset that doesn't rely on motivation, but discipline. Listen, people ask me all the time, how do you keep going? How do you stay strong through all the noise? And my answer is simple. I stopped needing applause. I stopped asking for permission. I learned how to stop caring what people think when I realized most people don't even know what they want for themselves. Why would I let their confusion guide my clarity? And you can do the same. You can build that inner strength brick by brick. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen daily. Through powerful habits, through showing up when it's not glamorous, through investing in your mindset like your life depends on it because it does. The more you protect your energy, the more you realize this, your glow isn't accidental. It's intentional. It's the result of battles you fought in silence, tears you wiped without an audience, goals you chased when nobody believed in them. You are not lucky, you are consistent, and consistency creates legacy. So I'll leave you with this truth as we head into the final part. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to rise. And the moment you let go of the wrong people, your path becomes clearer than ever. Let's take it home. I need you to hear me when I say this. The people you trust, the people you surround yourself with, will either elevate your life or suffocate it. That's not an opinion, that's a fact. And I learned it the hard way. There was a time when I thought loyalty meant never letting go. I thought that if someone had history with me, they deserved a future with me. When I realized history doesn't equal destiny. Just because someone's been around for the ride doesn't mean they're meant to stay for the journey. You feel me? Some people are in your life because you made it easy for them to be there. You carried the weight. You picked up the calls. You made the plans. You ignored the disrespect. You showed up when they didn't. And that was your lesson, not their permission. That's why I started living by one rule. Observe more than you speak. You don't have to interrogate people. Just watch them. Watch how they move when you're not the one leading. Watch who claps when you win. Watch who speaks life into your goals when you're not even in the room. That's what the power of silence teaches you, how to gather more wisdom with fewer words. And when you move like that, you stop being easy to manipulate. You stop being emotionally predictable. That's when you start playing psychological power moves without even trying. Because you're no longer reacting, you're responding. Calmly, intelligently. That's mastering emotions. So when you ask how to make enemies fear you without lifting a finger, it's simple. You make success your answer. You make your mindset your shield. You move in silence with purpose. You rise without warning. And the moment you stop explaining yourself is the moment you become unstoppable. That's how you gain self-respect, by reclaiming your time, your energy, and your peace. That's how you become the person people respect, even when they don't agree with you. That's how you become a leader. Not because you chase control, but because you walk in self-control. Let me ask you something. Do you know what real power looks like? It's when you walk into a room and people feel your presence before you even speak. It's when you leave a conversation and they still think about what you said. It's when people realize they can straddle you no matter what they throw your way. That's mental toughness. That's personal power. That's what makes you a force, not a follower. See? What the world won't tell you is that you don't need to be loud to be powerful. In fact, the loudest person in the room is usually the weakest. You want to know how to be respected. Learn to move with intention. Learn to listen. Learn to walk away without explanation. Because your peace is your leverage. Your silence is your sword. And when you protect your energy, you protect your destiny. You want to live with a winning mindset? Then stop entertaining small talk with people who have small vision. Stop over-explaining your worth to people committed to misunderstanding you. Stop shrinking to fit rooms that can't handle your light. You want to become untouchable. Develop self-discipline so strong that it scares your distractions away. Build powerful habits so consistent they become your character. Wake earlier. Speak with clarity. Show up with purpose. That's what it means to have a high-value mindset. That's what makes you unstoppable, not what you post, not what you flex, but what you do when no one is watching. So now let me wrap this up the only way I know how, by being real with you. You want to know how to stay focused in a world built to distract you. Let go of the people pulling you back into who you used to be. Stop watering dead plants hoping they'll bloom. Stop inviting doubters to your vision board. You've got dreams, you've got drive, and you've got purpose, but all that dies in the wrong environment. You can't build an empire on shaky foundations. And if you're still wondering how to silence enemies without ever raising your voice, the answer is this: level up so loudly that they can't deny you, but say nothing while you do it. That's what it means to lead from the front, to walk with quiet confidence, to carry inspiration in your posture and power in your peace. At the end of the day, this life is short, but your impact doesn't have to be. So choose wisely. Be intentional. Cut off what's keeping you small. Rise with purpose. Move with power. And remember, you are the author of your legacy. So don't wait. Don't look for permission. Don't second guess yourself. From this moment on, you are the storm. You are the silence. You are the standard. And if this message hit your soul, if it sparked a fire in you, then don't keep it to yourself. We are wisdom, recorded your knowledge source. And this is just the beginning.